"Long arm stretch!" The words ricocheted through the air. Suddenly, a gloved hand smashed through the bank's brick wall, sending shards of stone and dust flying through the air. The sound echoed in the narrow streets, momentarily drowning out the city's usual hum. It plunged deeper, breaking through another barrier, and then, bam, right into the vault. The hand grabbed a bag of cash, heavy with promise, and pulled back, vanishing into the wild chaos outside. The robber, cloaked in black, sprinted down the street, chomping on gum. The city buzzed around him, sirens blaring as the police jumped into action. He darted through a sea of people and honking cars, narrowly missed a mom with a stroller and a guy on a bike. "Stop! Police!" came the shouts, but the robber just kept going, his footsteps pounding in time with the sirens, an adrenaline-fueled race for survival. Each step was a risky game of dodge, avoiding the law right on his tail. People gasped, their eyes wide, caught between shock and fascination, like they were watching a bad action movie. Then, in a moment of pure madness, the robber spotted a vendor's cart overflowing with cheap souvenirs and snacks. With a leap that felt almost superheroic, he soared over the cart, feeling that brief thrill of flight. But just as he landed, disaster struck. Something was wrong. He wanted to cough, but found he couldn't. There was something caught in his throat, his chewing gum. Panic flooded through him as he dropped hard to the ground. The air rushed out of his lungs, replaced by a crushing weight in his chest. Everything around him faded into a blur of colors and sounds, and then an eerie silence. Gasping, he clawed at his throat, his eyes bulging. "Hey, you okay?" A voice cut through the chaos, but the robber couldn't respond. Nearby, 3 police officers broke through the crowd. "Get back!" one yelled, shoving people aside. They rushed to the crumpled figure on the pavement. "What's wrong?" The robber lay still, panic freezing his limbs as he turned blue, gasping for air. "Come on, someone help!" The officer's voice trembled with urgency, mixing with the growing anxiety from the crowd. The officers knelt beside the fallen figure, his hands flailing in desperation as he struggled to breathe. The once bustling street now stood still. "Breathe!" one officer shouted, pounding the robber's back, but still he silently gasped and clutched at his throat. "Time for the Heimlich!" another officer called out, positioning himself behind the robber and beginning the hopefully life-saving maneuver. With each thrust, the robber convulsed, desperately trying to find relief that wouldn't come. His eyes glazed over, the light dimmed, all sounds faded away, and then his body went limp. "Someone call for backup!" shouted the first officer. Panic rippled through the onlookers, their own faces drained of color, mouths held agape. "Stay with us!" another officer yelled, shaking the robber's shoulder, willing him to respond. But the thief lay motionless, the spark of life snuffed out, dreams of escape buried under the weight of choices made. The officers stood, faces drawn. As the crowd thinned, one officer knelt, head bowed, and searched the fallen robber for ID, rifling through his pockets. One officer pulled out a crumpled pack of chewing gum, its name glaring back. Long Arm Stretch. A strange silence fell over the scene. The officers exchanged glances, a shared understanding that they had stumbled onto something bizarre. Meanwhile, across town, at 2:37 a.m. in mid-Glamorgan, Wales, things were quiet aside from the faint buzz of city life. Inside a small apartment, a live stream flickered on a screen, capturing a bizarre event that would soon catch the attention of the SCP Foundation. The camera zoomed in on a young man, later labeled SCP-5021-2. He stood in the center of the room, alarmed as his right arm stretched upward, extending further and further into the air. It was both captivating and unsettling. SCP-5021-2 was visibly stressed, his voice rising in a frantic pitch as he battled against the strange phenomenon gripping his limb. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted, twisting like he was trying to wrestle control back. His arm shot up like a rocket, defying all logic, seeming to have a mind of its own. The livestream chat exploded with comments. People were amazed, confused, and scared. But the fun turned chaotic as Foundation agents, always on the lookout for weirdness online, caught wind of the situation. They quickly mobilized, knowing they had to step in before things spiraled out of control. Field Agent Jones and his team arrived at the scene just blocks away from SCP-5021-2's apartment. They could see the livestream on their screens, tracking the bizarre event as it unfolded in real time. Agent Jones took a deep breath, ready for action. He hoped it wasn't too late as they entered the apartment building. The atmosphere was tense as they climbed the stairs. When they reached the door, which was slightly open, they peeked inside. SCP-5021-2 was in full panic mode, his arm reaching for the ceiling, stretching impossibly far. "Hey, we're here to help," Agent Jones called out, stepping forward. But SCP-5021-2's arm, fueled by fear and adrenaline, shot out toward the agent, blocking his way. The agent jumped back, instinctively dodging the wildly extending limb. "Don't come any closer!" SCP-5021-2 yelled, his voice trembling. "I can't control it!" "Stay calm. We're gonna get you out of this," Agent Jones replied, assessing the situation. He needed a plan, and fast. As he scanned the room, he spotted a construction site across the street, lights glowing in the darkness. "I'm gonna get something," he shouted, bolting back outside. He dashed to the construction site and grabbed an angle grinder, the blade glinting under the streetlights. Racing back, he could hear SCP-5021-2's frantic voice echoing down the empty hallway. Agent Jones burst through the door and, without hesitating, approached the panicked young man. "This is gonna hurt, but I promise it's for the best." He switched on the grinder, its loud roar filling the tiny space. With precise movements, Agent Jones lined the tool up against the elongated arm. "Hold still!" he shouted, focusing on the task. Sparks flew as the blade cut through flesh and bone, and SCP-5021-2 screamed. But he couldn't feel pain, just a wild rush that matched the chaos. As soon as the arm was severed, something crazy happened. SCP-5021-2's shoulder slumped as he gasped for air, but the severed limb shot upward, accelerating at unbelievable speeds. It burst through the ceiling and into the night sky, breaking the sound barrier. Moments later, a sonic boom rattled windows and sent birds flying in all directions. Agent Jones stood in awe, watching as the arm became a tiny dot against the stars, soaring far beyond their view. SCP-5021-2 looked up, stunned. "Did that just happen?" he asked. "It's over now," Agent Jones assured him. "You're safe." SCP-5021-2 nodded, still trying to wrap his mind around it all. The agent helped him to his feet, surprised to see a hint of gratitude on SCP-5021-2's face, his expression softening. "Thank you for saving me," he said, his voice steadier now. As the team prepared to relocate SCP-5021-2, they noticed something strange. The severed arm began to heal, skin and muscle knitting together at an alarming speed. It was mesmerizing, yet disturbing, a testament to the bizarre powers of the anomaly. Meanwhile, Foundation personnel fanned out, interviewing witnesses in the buzzing streets. Confusion hung in the air as they spoke to bystanders, carefully erasing their memories to prevent any lasting panic. During this, they identified the vendor linked to SCP-5021. "Did you see anyone recording this?" Agent Jones asked one witness, who looked dazed. I think there was someone live streaming it," the witness stammered, still in shock. "It went viral." After the Foundation scrubbed the incident from online platforms, they crafted a cover story about an alternate reality game that had gone wrong to explain the chaos. Yet, the person who had captured the livestream remained a mystery, casting a shadow over the entire operation. As SCP-5021-2 recovered in a secure location, the researchers were buzzing with curiosity. The events of the night had opened a Pandora's box of questions. What else could this weird gum do? And were there others out there, clueless about its powers? Meanwhile, the vendor insisted that the gum had arrived with a normal shipment, and he hadn't thought anything of it. This revelation sparked an ongoing investigation to uncover the origins of this bizarre product. In a nondescript warehouse, the Foundation cataloged SCP-5021 and classified it as safe. Each pack looked ordinary, just a simple box with its name on it, containing 8 sticks of gum. But the files revealed its mind-bending effects. Once chewed for 30 seconds, SCP-5021-1 allowed its user to extend their arm at incredible speeds just by saying, "Long arm stretch." They could break through walls and barriers, but controlling where it went was another story. Users felt no pain during this wild process, only a rush of speed that was exhilarating. But once activated, the arm stretched until it hit something solid, leaving behind the ominous question of what happened next, something that would always loom large in the Foundation's research. Now, go watch another entry from the files of DrBob, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single anomaly as we explore more of the SCP Foundation's classified archives.